Today, we are going to be doing something kind of cool. There are a bunch of pictures that were taken at my sister and brother-in-law's gender reveal party, and the primary moment when the magic is happening is like right in here. And there was a wonderful photographer there that took like a burst of photos, and I think it would be really cool to turn that burst of photos into a video. That's going to be complicated because we need to crop each of these images into the resolution that makes sense. I don't want it in this vertical format. I don't want it either square or in like 16 by 9. I'll do square. That'll be easier. Oh, I just flashed the code. I already did this, so we'll be walking through it. So first we need to crop them all to a square dimension centered around the center. And then I need to stitch them together into a movie. And then I can upload the movie to Facebook and YouTube and whatever. So the first part of that is going to be very similar to another video that I did that I will link to in the description on just cropping photos. First thing, we're just going to make sure that we are dealing with all of these JPEGs. So I'm going to say paths equals cr.glob anything.jpg. And now I'm going to loop through each of those, and I just want to print out the path. And so I should see each of these JPEGs printed out. Oops, if I method paths.each. Cool, we're seeing all those printed out. So now for each of them, I need to crop them, and I'm going to crop them to be square. So let's say I need an output path for where all these are going to go. So I'll just make a new directory called cropped. -p means make it even if it doesn't exist, and don't complain if it does exist. And now I'm going to say cropped path is we'll say cropped.jpg, but that's going to be the same one for each one. So I'd actually love excuse me. I'd actually love to have these numbered because that's going to make the next step much easier. So to make them numbered sequentially, I'm going to say each with index, path, and I, and then I'm going to call these just their index.jpg. So now the command to get them to be cropped is using ImageMagick. I'm going to say, this is my preferred way to do strings, convert the input path, and I'm going to crop it. But what do I want to crop it to? I want to crop it. We'll start with something simple. I want to crop it like a square in the middle. So there's 4 numbers I need to crop something. I need the target height, the target width, and then the offset of X and Y. I always mix up X and Y. Every time without fail. But so it's width, we'll say, I don't know, 1,000. Height, we'll say 1,000. And then for now, we'll say X offset is 0 and Y offset is also 0. And the syntax for bringing that to ImageMagick is width, and then X, and then height, and then plus, and then X offset, and then Y offset, and then I say what my output is, and that is going to be cropped path. And I just want to, we'll execute this, and then I'm just going to do the first one. So let's see what happens. Oh, and I also want to print out the command I'm running. Put cmd, great. Let's see. Oh, we got the cropped, and it didn't go in the folder, and it's just a blue sky. Let's fix those. So I want cropped path to be in the cropped directory, and could that have been 1,000 by 1,000 in the top? I guess so. What I really need to know is like what the source height and width of these are. So it's 3834 by 5751. Oops. So let's get, I'm just going to comment this. So let's keep the width the same, and let's also set the height to be the width. But then I want, so that's going to give us like at the very top, because there's no X and Y offset. I guess I'll show you what that looks like. And also we can test that it went in the right directory, and it's too high. I want it to be like further down. I want it to be centered on them. So what's that number of the X offset? Well, if you think about like the total height of the image is this, and now we're taking a segment of it in the middle. How much do we need to bump it down by? Well, we would need to bump it down by like the starting height minus our destination height divided by 2, so that we have the same amount of space on the top and bottom. I could draw a diagram, but I hope that was clear. So to get that number, we're talking about the Y offset, because this is up and down. And I mixed this up the first time I did it. So it's the full height minus the destination height divided by 2. And now that we're doing math, I think it would be good to cast all these as integers so that it doesn't do decimals. Sometimes things can get very fussy. So you can see that affected this number. The Y offset changed to 958 from 0. And let's see if that did what I wanted. Yes, it did. It's now centered on them. Wonderful. So now I have this problem of like, I want it zoomed in. So how do you zoom with this? And I think it could be zoomed in by like, I don't know, twice as much, maybe a little less than that, maybe like 1.8. So let's say that the zoom factor is 1.8. Now, how would these numbers need to change if I'm zooming in by 1.8? Well, the width would be the width divided by the zoom, because I would want it to get smaller. And for the width to get smaller, would I multiply or divide by 1.8? Well, I would divide by 1.8 and it would get smaller. Okay, that makes sense. And then I would do the same thing with height. And then how would the X offset change? Okay, well, the X offset is left and right that it is. That would be the same sort of math of like, take what I started with as the width and then subtract my destination width and then divide that difference by 2. So I'm going to change these to variables. Starting with is this. Starting height is this. And now I can replace the starting with here. Great. Okay, so now the X offset is going to be, and then instead of, I can replace this because I'm using them all the variables. And these two are going to change. Okay, X offset is now my starting width minus my new width divided by 2. And now that I'm changing all of these, so I'll just cast them all to integers. .2i. That gets rid of the decimal place. And then I'll do the same thing with the Y offset. And this is going to be height. And let's see if that gets me zoomed in. Those numbers changed to something that looks reasonable. Oh, perfect. It's exactly what I want. Okay, now let's do that with all of them. We do that with all of them by not stopping after the first one. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, there's going to be a problem here. Well, we'll deal with that when we get to it. It may not actually be a problem. Okay, so now we have all of these images. Oh, looks so good. And is it in order? Yeah, it's... Oh, it's not in order. It's totally random. Okay, you know why it's random is I'm not sorting these when I go in here. So paths, we'll say paths dot sort dot each with index. Let's try that. And now this should be in order. Yes, now that's in order. Great. Okay, so now the second part of this, we have all our images. I want to stitch them together into a movie. That they can go just like this, and it can be in these dimensions. So ImageMagick is the tool that makes the most sense to be working with image files with. ffmpeg is the tool that makes the most sense to be working with video files with. ffmpeg is like Adobe Premiere and Final Cut Pro and iMovie all mashed into one. It can do anything that those things can do, and it's incredibly difficult to use. But once you figure out how to use it, you can just it's very repeatable and it's very automatable. So the command to do that is, I'm going to have to look this up, ffmpeg, and I'm going to comment this out. My voice is weak today. ffmpeg, and we have to say what the frame rate is. So I'm going to start with I don't know, 15 frames per second. We'll see how that looks. And then we say what the input is, and the input is going to be things in the crop directory that follow the pattern to a 0 padded 2 decimal number dot JPEG. Did I do dot JPEG? Is that, yeah, dot JPEG. And then I'm going to say what the, I think I could just say what the output is. So I'll say out.mp4, and let's see what that does. I think it's not going to work. Couldn't find a file with the path cropped /%02.jpg and index in the, what did it say after that? And index in the range 0 to 4. Okay, so it's looking for images called 00, 01, 02, 03, 04. So let's correct that in the Ruby script. Instead of just the number, I'm going to left pad the number with a 0. And the way to do that is you cast it to a string, because you can't left pad numbers. That doesn't make sense. You have to left pad a string. And I'm going to rjust, and then the argument for rjust is the number and then the character that you want to rjust it with. So I'm justifying it to 2 digits, a length of 2, and if it's not a length of 2, pad it on, justify it to the right, so pad it on the left with a 0. And if we run that, we're getting it 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4. Great. So I'm going to delete. Oh, I should have done these before. Oh my gosh, look at all this wasted time. What am I doing with my life? Oh, that was painful. Oh, and I even missed one. Missed the, oh, no, I didn't. Okay. 0. Okay. So now if I run that exact same ffmpeg command, it's doing something. Oh, looks like it did something. Let's go over here to out.mp4, and it's not playing. Let's try opening it with VLC, because VLC usually is much better about playing things. Oh, it totally worked. Look at that. Okay, so we have a problem now, though, of like, why isn't it playing in QuickTime? QuickTime is very finicky. QuickTime needs the pixels to be formatted in the right way, and it needs to make sure that you're using the right encoding. It's a pain. It took me a long time to figure this out, but the magical arguments that you need to add to this ffmpeg command to get QuickTime to understand what you're trying to do. There's a lot of different places you could add this, but I'll add it right after the frame rate. I'm going to say, first of all, set the video codec, v codec, to libx264. This is H.264. This is like the most popular. Is that fair? It's like the most popular way to encode video right now. And then I'm going to set the pix format to YUV 420p. What does that mean? Well, I think it means that each image can be compressed and encoded in I don't know, any number of ways, and that's the magical way that QuickTime wants them to be encoded. So if I now run this command, oh, it's going to complain. What's wrong? Unknown decoder libx264. Did I do that wrong? libx264 v codec. I did this before and it worked. What's going on? V codec libx264. I'm just going to copy and paste this. Oops. If I paste this, it's exactly the same. That didn't change, right? How is pix format v codec? Oh, you know what? I think that actually needs to be after the input, because it's the input, and then I need to say, okay, that can't go anywhere. And I didn't actually copy this. I just copied what was already in my thing. Okay, now that's working. It's saying the file already exists. Would you like to overwrite it? You can say Y to go forward. And now we're going to re-encode. And let's test that that's actually worked and works in QuickTime. Oh, it totally does. Look at that. Oh, beautiful. One more thing is, like, as I'm messing with this, if I add the -y parameter, it won't ask me if I want to overwrite it. So I'll just show you that. If I do that, it doesn't ask me if I want to overwrite it. It just does it. And now I have this beautiful video. I'm capturing this beautiful moment that I can share on Facebook. Look at this face. look at this guy. I just found out he had a boy. He knew ahead of time, actually, but she found out. Wow, amazing. This thing is also a thing that I made. Wow, look Look at this magical, oh, the boy's not there, and then the boy's there. Oh, it's in black and white. Oh, and then it's in color. Amazing. Cool. I think we're done. So that video then you could take into like Final Cut Pro, and you could add music, and you could do whatever you want. But that is my system for going from a bunch of photos to a stitched together video. Thank you for joining me. Have a good day.